So today we're going to be looking at the high market in the Pokemon industry. We're going to look at a lot of modern products as we're starting this different sort of schedule. So every week we're going to look at top end products, we're going to look at bottom end in a different video on the weekly, and then we're also going to pick a set each week, and we're going to pick a vintage and a modern and looking through the whole section and seeing where cards are at. But today we are looking at kind of the higher priced modern stuff, and I think the first one that everybody will always have kind of an affiliation to with is Umbreon. Umbreon is just, I don't even know at this point, because genuinely, a year ago he was coming in at $500, and since then he has just taken just a massive leap. Like he got up there in May to about $1,000 or $1,000, and then dropped down a little bit, and to be honest, that's kind of what we expected. But then he has just soared. Like genuinely, 1.4 is absolutely crazy. When you look at the data of what's been sold, like obviously you've got a few moderately played, you've got near mints. I must admit, if you're getting a moderately played now, I mean, you could have doubled your money at this point. It is absolutely crazy when you look at some of these cards, and the pop of a PSA 10 is absolutely nuts in itself. So this card in general, just, I don't know where the end point is for him. He just keeps going up. And obviously, there's going to be some hype with the Prismatic evolutions coming out in January. So that's going to also bring some hype to this card, especially if you are an Eeveelution or an Umbreon collector seller. That's your thing. This is the kind of the top prize, really. And I don't even know if this is the absolute top Umbreon that you can get in terms of price, but regardless, this is just a crazy card that you can get. I do want to actually have a look to see if this is the top Umbreon in just ever, because there's got to be some really top end Umbreon. So you've got this coming in at 1.3, and then if I move this over, in fact, you've obviously got the Umbreon EX at 763, obviously looking at the market price more so than listed. You got 700 for the Umbreon from Neo Discovery, Elite Trainer boxes. You've got Skyridge for 30, so it actually is one of the highest one you can get. You've also then got as well the Umbreon V coming in at 166, just on an alternative full art as well. You've obviously got 141 for the VMAX from Prize Pack Series. It's just, it's nuts. It genuinely is nuts to see this level of card hit this sort of price in a relatively short span of time. It's not as if Evolving Skies has been out for like a decade. It's been a few years, but that's really it. I think when did Evolving Skies actually come out? You've got Evolving Skies release date was the 27th of August 2021. So really we're looking at 3 years. That doesn't seem crazy enough to say that he should be way over $1,000 at this point, but absolutely nuts in general. I always want to keep tabs on this sort of card to see where that next spike is, or do we eventually see him coming down just a little bit under $1,000? Can we see it? Leave the comments down below. I have kind of got the XY evolution box in here as well, because I've always wanted to see how this does, because naturally it's got a pretty big upmarket. It's like 151, but you can get a booster box in this. Is that it's just an incredible set. It's nostalgic filled. It's not like I'm a massive fan of this set in general, because I think there's some cards, like when you look at the X and Y evolutions in general, like you look at all of the cards, it's nice, and most definitely when you've got like the base set Charizard, but when you start going into like the mega sort of cards, it's not my personal favorite. Like, it isn't my personal favorite art design. I'm not that much fan. Like, I much prefer this than kind of the full art feel with it, and that could just be my opinion. I could imagine there's a lot of people that love, in general, most of the sets, but I'm more of the full art set. I like the base set when it comes to just that. Like, I like this is like my sort of era, really. I like that. Obviously, Ninetales, you've got a nice Mew from it as well, so there's plenty I do like from the set, but Mega was never really my thing. I'm much more of a fan of the EXs, that is kind of just more standard type, more so than necessarily going for the mega sort of vibe. So let me know if that is you, but it's personally me. Again, another nice set that would just continue. And obviously with Umbreon, we always want to have a look at the actual booster box in itself, coming in now at a market price of $938. Umbreon's obviously going to be higher than that, and we do know that the whole set of Evolving Skies is just criminally crazy in itself as well, because obviously if you've got a box this expensive, you've then got cards that are that expensive as well. You know full well that there's going to be a discrepancy between the box and obviously all of the products within inside it. So if we was looking at generically what everything's costing right now, if we can go to the Evolving Skies, so we move it down. Is that going to change? Go one more. We're going to look at the Umbreon coming in at 1.3. You've then got the Rayquaza that we'll touch on soon, as well as then the Leafeon. So you got 460, 270, 250, 215. Then you finally hit the hundreds. You've only got another 5 of them, and even then after that, like, you've still got 84s, 80, 43. There's a high demand in this set now. It definitely escapes me how good these boxes were in terms of hit rates, but I can imagine some people might think it's worth the chance to open them. Now at $900, I don't know if I'd risk opening it. I'd probably keep this sealed if I'm being honest. I think most definitely that is what most of these will actually go for. I'd be very interested to see why that. I see this and you can never click the pictures. Why on earth that's gone for 6, 7, 8 when you've got all of these easily going for the 900s. Let me know if you know the answer to that, but I can never click on the picture and there's never any actual other stuff because I don't know what the conditions is. I don't know if it's unopened but the box is out of the wrapper or something. I really don't know. We then have one of my favourite cards. I really love the design on this, and especially with the Surging Sparks coming in. This is just a massive, massive card in my opinion. I think it's a stunning art design. To say it's not even like a full art, this is like a full art, if you know what I mean. Like you've got the special illustration full art. This is just a beautiful card in general. It took a massive, massive leap up again as you go into the year. We saw that it did manage to drop a little bit in the kind of April time, which seemed to be a time where a lot of things did drop in my opinion, and then now kind of since the hype has come back with Surging Sparks, with the Prismatic being released or announced as such, then you've obviously got the rumours of, well, I say rumours, I suppose they are announcements of the new Gym Heroes, the new Rocket, then you've got, is it Terrestrial Festival or something like that, or Terrestrial Festival coming in the Japanese, which is Prismatic. It's just absolutely nuts to see the pricing of stuff going crazy. Now, the one thing why I want to kind of do this weekly series is I'm very interested with these sort of cards to see week by week whether they're going up or down, because that's going to be the time where you could either potentially get a buy-in or you kind of just have to wait for the rock bottom of it. And I think this card in itself, the set has been out for quite some time, so it's going to be a very interesting one to see the future of. Getting a brand new card on the market, we have got the Pikachu Special Illustration from Surging Sparks. Now this is a massive, massive card. Honestly, I saw it come out at the start on like pre-releases, and literally it was like, I think people were buying it for 200, and I think everybody was saying the same thing, that they are absolutely mad. And now they've instantly made a $200. Now, whether people have managed to get multiple copies of this or they've managed to just buy one and double their money in literally a weekend, could have gone one or two ways. Obviously, a lot of people are going for that PSA 10, but there is a lot of people buying this card. It is massive, a huge, huge card. So this is just another one that's coming in during the hype. I'm very, very interested to see like the 3 to 5 month period of this card to see, is it still like absolutely going up there? Because at the minute we're on a 46% increase, but the set has only been out a couple of weeks. Like it's, well, I say probably about a month now, in fact. No, it came out in November, didn't it? So it probably is a couple of weeks since it did come out. It's going to be very interesting to see the near future of it. We also then have got the, if I can find it, the Latias, because I want to throw this in at the same time with the Surging Sparks, a card that I've personally got now. Incredible, like genuinely incredible card. I love this card and Latias together. Just stunning artworks. Like the previous Latias, they are just a fan favorite in my opinion. Once we had the kind of set with them in terms of the generation that came out in the game, these were two of like the hot topics, and most definitely have got some cards to show for it. Like you look at the Latias and Latias like collection, there's some beautiful stunners. You've obviously got the lovely Deoxys version and the Shining, or the shiny version. You then got Delta Species, you've got EX, some nice full arts from kind of like the Sword and Shield era. Then you've obviously got a few more that have come prior to this set. They're kind of not really used a massive deal in the new sets. They are predominantly an old one because we are going through that new sort of vibe of cards, new sort of legendaries. So we're kind of going away from them and only getting slight hits, but when you do, they normally are an absolute banger. So big pulls going on there. We then have the Rayquaza, as we saw, again coming in at a massive price. Not quite an Umbreon, but I mean, you're never going to turn this one away. The crazy thing is with this sort of card now is the fact that you'd need at least 2 of these in an opening of a box to be able to break even. That is truly how expensive this set has got. So honestly, again, like if you look at the year trajectory of this, it did actually hit a peak higher than this, and then it came down pretty well. But I do think, again, like we said with the kind of, to be honest, this went completely against the cycle. April it started going up, and then obviously during the hype it's kind of come down a little bit. I don't know if people's focuses were more on Umbreon or the new sets, but it has kind of equaled out a little bit more. If you got him in January, then you are absolutely laughing because the percentage increase is absolutely nuts. You're looking at a total 100%, or would it be 200% increase? No, I think it'd be 100% increase to your profits for this card, and I'd be, again, very interested to see the kind of dip that we're potentially getting again. I can see him potentially holding a nice price, but that will purely go on the actual booster boxes and also Umbreon for the near future. Which leads us into the Prismatic, which I just wanted to kind of touch on slightly with the lovely Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, now coming in at $385. It is on pre-release or pre-order, which is now completely sold out. So this one for anybody have bought it for $50, $60. Now at $385 is just crazy in itself, and obviously people are going to pay for it. It's mental, the fact that all of these are pre-orders. None of these are actually being able to be sent. Have people got them yet? They don't, because it's out in January. So this is just crazy. And I know it's probably not the first set this has happened to, but seeing it go at this price so quickly is just crazy. And honestly, I don't even want to see how expensive something like this is going to be in a year's time, because there's only going to be so many, and they're all sold out already. It's just nuts. Then we move on to some Twilight Masquerade with the lovely Greninja EX. Very nice artwork. And again, this card starting to now really get in. It's obviously not that old. I want to say, how old is it? We're looking at 6 months. What was 6 months here? June. So we're looking at about 7 months? No, 7 months in general. Came out on the 7th of May by the looks of it, give or take that week, and now just hitting an absolute stride. Going from the 118 that we saw it at all the way up, and we kind of knew this was going to happen with this card. It's the special illustration, it's the massive chase card from Twilight. Obviously people are paying through the nose for it. It's a lovely card design in general, and probably one of the better Greninjas that you can get. I think there's obviously the one from, I think it's Shrouded Fable, that you can get, which is again another nice design in itself, but this is obviously going to come in as the top product in there. Twilight's box as well coming in at 150. To be fair, you could be worth opening these, depending on the rest of the sets as well. You've had a few Radiant Greninjas, a couple of Secret Arts, a lovely little shiny, but nothing really worth kind of mentioning too much. Like we said with the Greninja illustration box, it's a lovely card design, like this one here. Lovely card design, I like it. Isn't gonna quite top the Twilight Masquerade one. We also have the Greninja Zoroark as well. That would be really cool if they had more of a water type with it, or went like water electric, or kind of like the starters maybe. If they had a triple, I know it's tag team, but like say trio team, had like the Greninja and all of the other starters from the era, that would have been a really cool design if they managed to figure that out at some point. I mean, that would have been a massive hit. Then obviously the Blaziken, always great from Chillin' Rain. I was going to say Chillin' Freeze there, but I mean, either or. Nice design. Again, it's kind of a completely different artwork, and this is the one thing that I do like from a lot of these different sets, different products, is you're not getting the same picture, because in essence, these are all just pictures. They're just artwork in general. I like that they've got the differences, the complete difference from like the Magikarp from... I've got it up here somewhere. Where is it actually from? It's from Paldea Evolved. Like, that difference to the Blaziken, to the Umbreon, the Rayquaza, to even just all of the illustrations from Evolving Skies. I like that there's the differences in there, and when you get them as a set, it just looks so much better. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of vintage, and seeing all of the holos as such. There's not really any full arts anywhere. I don't even know when the first full art truly came out, but going from just the generic holos, the page of them, very first slap front and cover, to this is a very interesting design going in, to be honest. With the Blaziken, we have been seeing a bit of a decline as we went through the kind of summer, and you saw him kind of top out at the 405, dropping all the way down to 250, and starting to make a little bit of a climb at 280. Obviously, you're going to see multiple prices going on here. We can see near mint going at 325 there, but then dropping all the way to 275. So it depending on when you're looking at the minute in terms of orders, we have got listings of 1 of 1 at 325 at the moment. You've obviously got the near mint hollow foil. What's that? Pack fresh. Is that a different... yeah, as I say, it's Japanese or Chinese card. So you've obviously got different prices for different languages, but predominantly you are looking at the English set more than anything. Which then leads us on to another booster box, which is going to be Fusion Strike. Now, I didn't realize this box went up so much. Like genuinely, it's obviously taken a massive kind of up in the past few months. When we look at it from the year perspective, it kind of went up at 230. Normally, I'm looking at these at about 130, give or take. I'm pretty sure you could get them at the initial launch, and now coming in at 280. It's very interesting to see. Like, obviously, you've got a few that have still come in at the 200 mark. Again, depending on what that means, because I can't see any of the pictures of them, but you're looking at it, and a lot of people buying them at 280, 290. It's very interesting to see from a set that really in itself, like, I don't remember that many cards truly coming from Fusion Strike. If we was to have a look at them, in fact, because they are one of the... Were they kind of the middle? Were they... Where was Fusion Strike? It was kind of one of the middle sets. So in terms of the cards, obviously you've got all the V cards in general, nothing really coming from the main set. But when you go down to the bottom, we're looking at, what set was this? Was it it was the Gengar, of course it was. So is it just the Gengar that's taking this up? Because that's out. And then you've obviously got the Espeon VMAX, of course. I was thinking that, I was like, there's definitely an interesting side of this. So you got the Gengar coming in at, what are we looking at price wise? Well, that's Espeon, so that ain't Gengar. Espeon in itself coming in at 2, I think I've got it here as well. Espeon coming in at 213. And then if we have a look at the Gengar, that is coming in at, oh, okay. I mean, it's definitely taken a price increase there. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I was interested, because I swear the last time I looked at this Gengar, he was around the 3 to 340 market. Now coming in up at 413, it kind of makes a bit more sense that the booster boxes would take a little bit of a time to go up there, because realistically, when you've got two cards coming in at 400 and 200, the booster boxes are most definitely going to be an interesting one to see. We also then have some more Evolving Skies, obviously with the Leafeon, kind of taking a bit of a dip at this point from a few months ago, looking in at about 350, now dropping in at the 275 mark. It's going to be interesting to see what Prismatic does when it first comes out, if we see either a spike of these cards to obviously get them all in a set together, or if they take a little bit of a nosedive as the kind of the focus is kind of off them. We do then jump into an Evolving Skies Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box, because I was interested to see where these are at, and at 245. It's interesting in itself, and obviously I don't know how much these are sold. 29th, I mean, they're sold relatively well, to be fair. You're looking at what? You're looking at a couple of days ago, day before that, 2 days before that, then a bit of time in between, obviously taking like what, 22 days in the difference, and then the day before. So they actually are sold still quite heavily. I am surprised to see them not necessarily going for too much more, but then I suppose there is only 10 packs in there, and obviously it's not the box itself that people are paying for, it is going to be the packs that people want there. Then we obviously have the lovely Glaceon. I love most of these alternative arts. They are all incredible in themselves. Some great picture work across the whole of it. And very much like Leafeon, took a bit of a dip from the 300 mark. Now coming in at the 250. It will be interesting to see, like we said with Leafeon, where these do end up. We do have then the Chillin' Rain box as well. That's coming in now at 230, which is always interesting. I think we're starting to get to a point where a lot of Sword and Shield boxes are kind of hitting that minimum of like the 180 to 250 mark without really budging. And having some kind of outliers in the Evolving Skies, obviously. And then I think Celebrations is still quite expensive as well. But it's always interesting to see where the turning point is for the previous set. So obviously we're in Scarlet and Violet. Sun and Moon already is at a very, very nice price across everything. So boxes wise of booster boxes is always nice. Which then leads us to the 151. I was again just interested at 230 with the Elite Trainer box here. Again, looking in, sold relatively regularly as well as we can see. I know it's more of a newer set, so it's interesting to see how much stock Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes have got. So, very nice to see indeed. Which then leads us on to the Premium Collection for 151, a product that I personally did open, which was a very nice product in itself. It was the first Premium Collection box that I've opened. The 16 packs were good. Obviously then having the promo cards, the metal card, and the lovely mat that you did get, which is always nice. And I know it's not a new thing with premium boxes, but coming back for 151 was always a special product. And I say it's starting to take a dip, but I mean, to be honest, you're looking at a dip of about $5, so it's hardly like it's dropped that much, and more than likely you will start to see a lot of kind of products still going up in this aspect, especially when you could buy it for about $130 less than a year ago. I think I got it for Christmas last year at around about £110 as such. Espeon VMAX we've already talked on. We then have the Sylveon VMAX, again very nice with the, is it Marshadow I want to say in the background, Eevee, Vaporeon, another big Eevee there as well, another absolute stunner as we do go into it. And again, like the others, it's kind of followed the same pattern, so it's always an interesting thing to know that in kind of some aspects other than Umbreon, they do potentially follow the same sort of pattern. So if you see one go, more than likely it seems to be that the others go as well. Lugia Alternative Art nearly getting to the end now. Again, another massive jump for him. I had a look and saw that the price has gone up by 63% after again taking a bit of a tumble down to the lowest of 160 and the max of 227, which is now coming in at 207. So if you have bought in the kind of peak time, kind of around this sort of mark, you are potentially getting back up there if it doesn't drop again, as we're starting to see a little bit of a plateau. But again, we did see that as we would have done in kind of this element, and then it just shot straight back up, which is always nice. And I think when we look at Silver Tempest, there is some really nice cards in there, but it was kind of that an end set that was almost overshadowed by a very nice Crown Zenith. Going back to the 151 with Scarlet and Violet in the Charizard EX, another fan favourite. Obviously the Venusaur's going up a little bit as well as the Blastoise, but Charizard now coming in at 203. Did have a slight peak that was just underneath it at 201. He did drop a very, very little amount, but you can see just in a year how much this card's gone up. The 151 set has now started to really see the tail end of this and starting to really hit that next sort of level. So if you're looking at 151, even with the increase that it's had now, I still think it's a very good set to get into. I just don't see this dropping anytime soon, or at least not dropping forever as such. We then have Brilliant Stars, another booster box that's kind of gone up. Like I wanted to enforce the Sword and Shield era, potentially now getting into the $200 sort of industry. If you manage to get a lot of these boxes at either the say what, $90 to $130, you're looking pretty now. It's been a couple of years since they obviously did come out, and even if you saw it last year ago at $150, already making in the regions of a $50 product on it, or profit on it in fact, it's not terrible. It's really, really not. Then obviously we did allude to the Magikarp. It's always a nice one. Again, it's a lovely design. It's not my sort of style in terms of the card, but I can appreciate that this is going to be one of the fan favorites, especially with not much to go on in the Paldea Evolved, because obviously there's only going to be so many cards that you can get per set that is like a chase card. We may have seen Evolving Skies with multiple. Prismatic will be the same. But then you look at something like the brand new Surgeon Sparks. It's the Pikachu and the Latias that are mainly up there. Milotic's obviously up there as well, but nowhere near the price that them two are really going to achieve. So interesting to see this little bit of plateau in the last week, just kind of staying around that sort of zone. So it will be interesting to see where we kind of go with this Magikarp. And then finally, we did a whole video on it. We have got the Charizard Sword and Shield Premium Collection box. This one is slightly going up. We've seen even just from a year ago, managing to get up to at least an $80 profit is a very nice investment. And like we've said with Charizard in the past, if you pick a fan favorite, a Charizard, a Mewtwo, then obviously looking like a Blastoise or a Venusaur, a Pikachu, the products will always do well if there is a nostalgic vibe. And Charizard's kind of the perfect one for this in the Pokemon itself. So it's kind of an easy one. Whereas I think with the Mew Premium Collection box, slightly Mew as well. Like a lot of people like Mew. But I think it's the 151 that's personally doing the kind of the heavy lifting for that set. Whereas I do think with the Sword and Shield, the longevity of this set is always nice. But it's the Charizard that's really kind of catching people's eye with this. And being able to get some Evolving Skies packs in this as well is always an extra bonus on it. So it'll be interesting to see where this sort of product does go in the next kind of couple of years, really. I'd say if you're looking at like the 5-6 year market for this, it's going to be a very interesting story. But then also, like I saw with somebody else talking about products and buying products, is it's not only collecting them and their value going up, but it's also trying to find people to buy them. Now, I don't think you're going to have too many issues here, but if you ask in 6-7 years, what are people looking at? Are they looking at booster boxes, ETBs, single packs, or are they looking at these big products, the premium collection boxes, the illustration boxes? Which one are they going for? But let me know down below. It's a very interesting one in the high market. We will have a look at the low in the near future of this week, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Like and subscribe. Peace.